Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel and welcome to episode 29 of Studio Time with Ryos. So I did a little poll asking you guys what genre I should make in today's episode, and you guys voted for progressive house. So listen, I'm a man of the people. We'll make some progressive house today, and I've also been listening to Alesso's new song called Without You, and I'm absolutely in love with it. And I think it might be cool if we did a little bit of a Ryos twist to it, if you will. I think it might be fun if we remix that today. So without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, so here we are in FL Studio. I got Alesso's track pulled up, an absolute banger. My idea today is sort of make a bootleg, so what I'm going to do is kind of keep the break, keep everything, and then in this track specifically, there's like a perfect part to transition into like my own synths, which we'll get to in a second. So that's sort of the game plan here. And then in terms of vibe, this is definitely more of like a summery kind of song, so I don't think I'm going to make anything like too dark or aggressive. I don't really know. We're going to see where everything takes us as always. But I am going to start with the piano. We'll go with like a classic dance piano. I like this one. Before we create this melody, I do want to add some reverb and delay to the vocal quick, just for myself so I can get a better sense of, I guess, what the whole idea is going to sound like. Let's do Smooth Hall. And then we'll go for a very simple delay here. I'm also going to throw on Soothe real quick because his vocal was extracted from RX-8, from the original track. It's got some weird artifacts in it, so maybe we'll just do like harsh Vox start. Helps a little bit, I guess, sure. All right, let's make a melody. All right, so I think for the melody, we take their chords, their bass. Maybe we'll change it up a little bit down the line, but I think that's a fair place to start. So I'm going to sort of remake those aspects right now. Okay, I think that's it more or less for the bass line. Let's go ahead, we'll make some basic triads for now, and then let me see if I can start coming up with a little melody. Now, in my head, I really wanted to try to do something with vocal chops. I feel like that kind of fits the summer vibe and could just be like something fresh to do here. And the way I like doing vocal chops is kind of slicing on the timeline like so. And then like we'll just make a very basic rhythm for now. And then what you can do is you can slide around using this little guy up here. We can move to different parts of the vocal using this tool, so. Yeah, see, so now we can kind of build upon this. And actually, because the original chord progression has that classic sort of ba-ba-ba progressive house rhythm, maybe we can do that with the vocal chop. So make a rhythm more like this. And now let's find some pieces that work. Okay, so I'm kind of going silent, going a little bit rogue here. Basically, my thought process is to, number one, for this ending piece here, where it's only like these two small rectangles, to have a sort of special fill here, right? So that's this vocal chop. I think that sounds cool there. And then basically what I'm trying to do is, because of the way this chord progression is made, where it kind of like progressively goes down and then comes back up, I'm trying to match the vocal chops with those chords and try to keep a relatively simple vocal chop as well. Like this one definitely needs to be different. We're gonna check out the second verse here. Maybe there's some more elements I can use. Okay, yes. This note, once I nail this note, dun, 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 it needs to go up. I'm not getting that exact sound that I want. Maybe we'll try pitching and tuning them separately, but I don't know. All right, I'm putting the vocal chop on a separate track. I want to process this a little bit. So first off, I want to EQ it, kind of get rid of the lows here. Now I want to process this more and sort of mangle it, and also tune it a little bit. So let's first throw on an auto tune. Now I'm also going to throw in an altar boy. I love this one. That sounds sick with this formatting and distortion and stuff. I might change the beginning. Actually, let's experiment with that right now. Okay, so honestly, after I continue to mess with this, I think that this little bit here, the way that sounds is just chef's kiss. So what I want to do is I'm just going to go ahead and pitch it to sort of match the melody of the chord progression and kind of make this the main chop. And then we'll throw in a few different bits and pieces there. All right, I'm in love with how this is coming out. Now, the only thing I'm debating right now is the second go around, I'm not using that same slice anymore. It could be cool, but it obviously sounds like a little too different right now, I feel. So maybe as I process this more, basically just compress it, add some reverb and delay and stuff, maybe it'll make it sound more uniform. If not, I could just copy whatever notes these are playing. A sharp and C, I think. Or no, A sharp and D. Okay, so I can take these chops, tune them accordingly, and replace them, but we'll see. But other than that, this sounds really cool. I think if I layer like a progressive house synth on this, have some like cool piano stabs and stuff, we can make a really sick like summer track. So I'm gonna run with this idea now. Let's try processing these vocal chops a little bit more first. Let's do supercharger. Now, I want to also do some reverb and delay, of course. So we can do arts acoustic. Actually, I'm going to do a reverb send. So we'll still do arts acoustic. This is already set up to be a send. If we further mangle this with some OTT. And we can throw on a soothe as well on this channel. All right, so this processing sounds pretty good so far. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put the main sort of chop here. I'm gonna make a variation where it's tuned like these, and then I wanna see how that sounds. So we'll just copy this bit over. We'll pitch this down to A sharp. Okay, so now let's see what that sounds like if I replace them. Yeah, I kind of like it without this little vocal chop. Maybe we'll make like a fill out of this or something later down the line. We'll group it under, but I do like this as a sort of vocal chop lead thing. All right, guys, so now it's time to build out some more synths and stuff. Kind of want this to be more of like a chord-driven drop with the vocal chop lead sort of in there, if that makes sense. So let's definitely start by making this piano sound better. I'm going to layer a few different pianos. We can go to contact, and I'll layer some pianos in there first. All right, so this extra piano layer from Contact adds a nice little dreamy element to this piano stack. I do want it to sound a little bit more housey though, so I am going to go to Korg M1. There's a very standard preset in here called House Piano, I believe. And we're going to pull that bad boy up. M1 House Split. Yeah, this is it. This really bizarre thing is happening right now where basically whenever I exit out of this M1 plugin, it's changing the preset on me. So what I'm about to do is I'm just going to put this into audio right now. Let's quickly process this. We could give a little high-end boost as well. Do a little bit of Novelty character. Next, for the chords, we're gonna need like a pad and a super saw of some sort. So first we can try a super saw. We'll go to Nexus for that. Just something really standard, just to give it that sort of progressive house, ravey feeling. What about like a pad of some sort? We can go to Spire for that. Something to give this a little bit more of like a vibe, for lack of a better word. That's cool. Maybe up an octave though. I want to try one thing with the vocal chop quick before we move on to adding more synths. I'm going to create an automation clip and sort of make a manual envelope, because right now if we listen to the vocal chop, sounds really cool, but it almost sounds like one continuous lead. But in my head, I wanted the drop to be really stabby, really punchy. So obviously with the vocal chop in its current state, it's not going to really give me that vibe. So to test it, I'll just quickly create an automation clip here. Yeah, see? All right, so now let's copy this onto all of the other vocal chops. Yeah, that sounds way better. All right, awesome. So now let's do the bass sound. So first, it's kind of cool. Let's get this in there. For the bass, I'm gonna sustain all the notes. I can't go on this time without you in my life. All right, so this sound is really nice. I'm gonna treat this as sort of my aggressive bass or my mid bass. So that means I'm gonna cut some of the lows out here. Nothing insane, but I do wanna have a separate sub. For this track, I am thinking about these basses being a little bit more tame, right? I don't want them to be so aggressive, so overpowering. I want the chords to sort of take that front seat. So we'll grab a sub, and then I also want to grab like a really warm bass as well. Perhaps a Reese. We could try some Reese's out. And then obviously we do need a sub as well. Try a different Reese bass here. All right, so the synths are all good so far. If I do need to add anything else, that'll be later down the line when I'm building the drop, if I need anything for like support or something. But in terms of sound, I think we got all of our ingredients. I think this sounds really dope. So now let's take a little step back and let's try to transition this into my section from the original track. So the first idea I had was to add like a light sweep in the original and then have like an impact here for my section, and then it goes into, or excuse me, we'll have an impact right here so that the vocal kind of like solos out, and then an impact following that into my hands up section. Sounds complicated, but it's going to be really easy. We're going to take a sweep. I personally think this one would sound the best. I'm supposed to do. I can't go on this time without you. And then the Battlefield 1 bar sub. I'm supposed to do. I can't go on this time without you in my life. Gonna shorten up this sweep right here so that doesn't come in right away. For my own legs to carry, and I don't know. We'll throw on an endless smile, and that way it sort of like blends into the hands up section. So let's do like something like this. Without you in my life. Oh, the only problem is, yeah, the F in life. Interesting. Let me try something. I'll throw the F just on a separate track without the endless smile. Without you in my life. Now, another thing that we can do is take that piece of the vocal that we've just sort of created with endless smile, record it in, and then loop it, we'll have like a sort of vocal drone going in the background. That'll sound nice. Probably do this section. This looks pretty even. Do generic. Shit. Maybe some effects might be cool here too. Since this is more of like a festival route, obviously Alesso's version is a little more geared towards like radio and streaming. Maybe this version will be cool if we go a little more festival. Therefore, I can kind of go a little crazy with the effects. So one of my favorites, love this impact right here. Down without you in my life. And then we can also get a nice downlifter here as well. Without you in my life. Yeah, I love it. Let's consider this the build. This will be our intro, right? Like we'll just steal their intro. This will be the intro, this will be the build, and then this can be the drop here. I can't go on this time without you in my life. And I just had this idea right here for the vocal chop fill. We could do something different right here. Let's play around with, again, that method before. Just move these around. I like that sort of chop there. That sounds cool. And then, yeah, now let's start getting some sidechain, some drums going, all that good stuff. First, we'll get sidechain on everything. Okay, so here's the sidechain for the chords, and then I'm gonna do the same thing for the bass group. All right, awesome. So now we got some sidechain going. Sounds really nice. Let's get some drums going. All right, so I think I'm gonna use the kick for my identity. I do need to adjust it slightly though. I'm gonna make a small dip at around 150 or like 200 hertz or so. And I'm gonna add a transient shaper as well here. Now to further build out this groove, maybe we'll throw claps in this drop right away. Okay, next up, I want to get some rides going, and I just put a fire ride in the new Patreon pack out now, link in the description. But this ride here would be great. The perfect prog ride. I also included some cool fills in this pack, so this one being one of them would work well here. And now that we have this clap fill right here, it might be cool if we extended this vocal chop fill and did like 2 notes instead. Definitely time to add some sidechain onto these vocal chop fills as well. Perhaps a little distortion too would sound good on the cleaner vocal chops. So we'll go to Decapitator for that. Hit him with a little bit of drive. I like A. But maybe we try a different letter today. I don't know if I'm tripping, but P sounds the best. We can also make this vocoder fill a little cooler. In my head, if we did a reverb swell and an LFO tool thing, I love calling it the LFO tool thing. Just an LFO like stutter. I think that would be really cool here. I'll add a Arts Acoustic for a reverb throw, and then I'll grab an LFO tool, and then let's automate the two. All right, beautiful. So everything sounds good so far. Now I want to pay a little more attention to the drums and some of the other details in this drop to make it a little cooler, a little spicier, you know what I'm saying? So the first thing that I had in mind was looking at the drums. So maybe we can add some percussion to either follow the melody of the chords, or maybe some small sweeps and little like glitches and tidbits might be cool throughout this drop. I know I said I was working on the percussion, but I was just messing around with the vocal chop, And I think I like this second fill not vocoded. I think it just sounds better. I think right now. Yeah, it kind of sounds cooler to me. And then now for this room tom, we'll copy it over like so that it follows the vocal chop. Right here, it might be cool to add a sort of clap effect or an exhaust after these toms. So let's try that out right now. Oh, here we go. Something like this might be cool. Okay, so before I go ahead and build out this drop more, I actually like the more simplistic drums. So I'm not going to go crazy adding anything else right now. I might add, or I'm definitely going to add rather, some shakers and stuff when I build out the second half of the drop quick. I want to do some stabs, either bass stabs, brass stabs, something like that. That might be cool on each note. And then I also want to explore just adding one more bass layer, something a little bit more buzzy. Just because right now I feel like I'm getting a lot of chords, which mind you, I did say earlier that I wanted this to be a more chord-driven drop, but I do think having like a little bit of a buzzy bass or something just to cut through the mix will make it feel a little more energetic, a little more, what's the word? Energetic and aggressive, I guess. So nothing super insane, but I'm going to just EQ out some of the lows here. Yeah, see, that adds just like a little bit more bite to this drop. I love that. All right, and then the next thing that I wanted to try adding was some stabs of some sort. So whether that be a brass stab or a like bass shot, something like that. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now for these stabs, I really want them to be spacious. So we can process them with reverb and delay. Start with delay first. Now shit, just because I'm curious, I do want to try some brass stabs as well. These bass stabs do sound great. I think I'm going to keep them in there. But yeah, let's try some quick brass stabs as well. For the processing, I'll just copy over the same processing that we used for the bass stabs. Yeah, so it's subtle, but it's a nice little background element. I'm happy with that. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to copy over everything just once, and then we'll get a little halfway fill here. Why am I doing this opposite too? I just noticed that. Usually my drums go at the top. Yeah, okay. Now this is making more sense. My brain was like, what's going on? Why does this look weird? All right, now for this halfway fill, I'm going to get something very simple. Oh, here we go. Perfect, nice and easy. I also want a big snare to accompany this fill. Want to try cutting out the synths here and the vocal chop here. Yeah, that way we have a little bit more space, kind of get a slight pause. Think that sounds cool. I think for this drop, actually, shakers are a good option. I love when stuff just works. Didn't even have to do anything. Maybe for additional energy, we can also add an on-beat clap here. All right, awesome. And then we do need a small riser to take us out of this drop. And then we can copy this impact over from earlier. And we should definitely have this big snare again, take us out of the drop. All right, so I think that's a good basis for the drop for right now. Let's go ahead back to the beginning of the track / the build-up, and let's sort of smoothen this bad boy out. So firstly, to take us from the original Alesso track into our transition, I think using an endless smile will help smoothen that transition. Right now, it is a little bit too rough for my liking. So quickly, what we could do is just a little bit of endless smile action. So something like this. I'm supposed can't go on this time can't go on this time without you in my life. Yeah, that sounds pretty smooth, just like that. All right, so now for the build. Obviously, we have a lot of good elements here already, so there's not much that we need to do here. Maybe just some small risers and build drums and stuff. Man, nothing crazy. I kind of want this to be more of like a smooth build-up, I call it. So with that being said, maybe we'll only do drums in the second half of the build-up. We can try that out first. I feel like also for this build-up, we either need like a clap or a ride coming into this section to kind of set the rhythm and set the pace and stuff. So, I mean, we can try that quick. Now, the next thing that I want to do, which is going to be tedious, I'm going to actually go get a snack and take a bathroom break because this is going to be tedious. But basically, I need to filter out everything properly. Got to use endless smile to like wash out certain elements, high pass, low pass, to really get that like sweeping, washy build effect that'll bring us right into that drop. So I'm going to do that in a second. Let me take a break. I'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back. Got a snack. Oh, yeah, that's where we left off. Filtering. No. Actually, wait, I don't think the filtering is going to be that bad. Because of the style track, I think what we're going to wind up doing is extending all of these to basically be right about here. And then we'll just high pass everything. That should give us a pretty clean sound. So we'll start there first. Let's start with the chords. That's cool. And then same thing for the bass group. So now I just need to do the same thing for the vocal chop lead. Okay, cool. So now all the main elements are getting filtered out. We'll have this vocal shine through and play right before the drop the way I have it. I also want to add some endless smile to the master to sort of give it that extra washy effect. So we'll do that right now. And then we'll also do a volume automation as well. Okay, automations are done. Now, what's next is risers. Risers are really going to help complete this sort of build and glue it together. The first two that came to my head were one, just a basic sweep, and then the other one, just like a sort of, I guess, regular synth just being pitched up. That's a horrible explanation, but basically, there's a preset in one of my, well, my only Serum Bank. My other one didn't come out yet, but that's besides the point. The first one, there was a preset called Air Force, and I love making this into a riser. So we'll put this on D sharp. So we'll chop it like so, and then we'll start it after 4 bars. Okay, so I'm going to try one more riser. I want a riser that is basically just playing lower in the frequency spectrum. This riser is obviously really squeaky and high up there. I want to have another riser, again, just a little bit lower to help fill out the frequency spectrum. Okay, here's the riser. I think this one will work well. We can stretch it so that it looks like that. Now, the other thing that's happening, because we're washing out so many elements and it's reverb, we're just getting way too much width on the master. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to automate the master so that we do something like this. So basically, I'm going to automate the stereo separation, and we're going to make it more narrow as the buildup progresses. Oh, yeah. Like magic. Makes the buildup sound way better. All right, next, we got to get a pre-drop fill going. Wait, this fill actually sounds sick. I've never used this as a pre-drop fill. I usually use this as an exit fill to take me out of the drop, but leading into it, it actually sounds sick here. All right, so the pre-drop fill sounds great. Before I move on to the drop, because I do need to make a few more drop tweaks before we wrap up, the last thing that I want to do for this build is just to trial a few different risers. I don't know if I love this this dirty sound riser that I put in here. So let's just trial a few other ones real quick, and then we can move on. So even the Greyhound riser, maybe? Yeah, that's better. Now here's where we need to work on the drop a little bit more. Obviously now we've built up a lot of energy, and the drop just is not matching that energy basically, and I know how to fix that. So right now there is just too much mud going on in this drop, and specifically with the basses, they're a little too warm. If we listen to the bass group, we might have to get rid of the sort of 3D/respace that I made before. Keep that for the build section, but not include it in the drop. Obviously, now we are missing some frequencies, so I'll pull in a new warm bass. So I want to try putting a guitar amp on this. For this buzzy bass, I want to add a little more crunch to it. Try to get a little bit more energy out of this bass stack, especially in the drop here. All right, so this bass right here, definitely a lot more on par with what I'm looking for. We can add a little bit of distortion to it too. I really want this I really want this bass to be bright so that it adds that extra crunch to the whole entire bass stack. All right, so I think we're good with the bass now. Sounds great. The other thing, well, two things rather, that I want to add to really give that drop this extra bit of energy is I want to add a crash effect, and I might double down on that and also add like an exhaust as well. I wanted to try adding a build ride instead of a clap. So I think that might sound just a little bit smoother in this particular track here, and I have some ride fills that we can try. I can't go on this time without you in my life. I'm also going to copy over the sweep from the transition into the build up. What was the other thing I was going to do? I always do this. I think I was going to just copy over this vocal into the... Oh, that's what it was. That's what it was. I got it. I want to add a sort of driving factor, if you will. I feel like it needs a little bit of like a galloping motion. I like doing this a lot with percussion, shakers, cymbals, etc. Sometimes you could do it within Synth itself. We could do a vocal drone that I have that has that sort of galloping motion already built into it. All right, so we're just about wrapped up. I just finished adding one more sample in here. It's that galloping sound that I was talking about before. I wanted a little more reinforcement with that drone sound that we added, so now we got it. And yeah, guys, I think that's about it. I think that's going to do it for us for right now for the session. It's been, holy shit, I think it's been almost 4 hours. Yo, what the hell? Damn, I was in the zone. I didn't even realize time flying, except for when I got hungry. Anyway, I digress. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a listen from the top, and let's see what I came up with. My heart's too heavy for my own legs to carry, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I can't go on this time without you in my life. well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Episode 29 is a wrap. All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for joining me in yet another episode of Studio Time with Ryos. Had a lot of fun making this today. Clearly, it's literally been almost 4 hours. I think this is my longest episode in terms of filming. That's crazy. But listen, all worth it because this came out really good. And again, hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you did enjoy today's episode, please be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so you're notified the next time I upload. If you want the stems to today's episode of Studio Time with Ryos, any other episode, monthly sample packs, all different types of goodies, you can go ahead down below in my description, subscribe to my Patreon, join the gang. Got a bunch of y'all there lately, so really appreciate all your guys' support. Quick note though regarding today's episode, because I remixed Alesso's track, I can't actually distribute that track. I don't want any problems with copyright, so the elements I added, I can send as stems, but it would be kind of incomplete, so just bear that in mind. But ladies and gentlemen, that is a wrap for me today, so I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.